Hello, everybody. I apologize. This is a lot to hold in one hand. So, um, me and Brittany, I'm Heather. This is Brittany, and we are here this morning to go over portion control. The workshop is portion control. Are your eyes bigger than your stomach? And we'll be going over how to get through the holidays with portion control and give you just kind of like tips and tricks and things to think about as you go to the holiday gatherings or parties, or even if you're having a feast at your house by yourself, whatever your holidays look like. We're going to break it down for you so we can help you keep on the right path for this holiday Hunger Games, hit those weight goals, not gain weight. You don't want to have more to lose, less weeks, all those things. No setbacks. We're going to go for all the positives. So the first step I have is game plan. Have a game plan before you go to a party or gathering, whichever it is, or even if you're ordering food for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever those meals look like. Have a game plan. Set it up before you go or before you start ordering, before you start cooking. Have an idea of what foods are going to be there. If you're loving that turkey and that dressing and you just have to have those, know that those are going to be two things on your plate. If there's unknown foods that are going to be there, hit the ones that you know that are going to be there first. If you know somebody, the uncle or the aunt always makes a great green bean casserole, hit those foods that you know. Have a game plan. Have those ideas of, okay, these are the things I'm looking forward to and you're wanting to eat. So that way you're less likely to try to have to scramble and be like, oh, I don't know what I want. Do I want to try this? Do I want to do that? And you're going to end up all of this with having a very full plate. So all of this will tie together into that giant mound on a plate. So stick to a game plan. That's number one. You don't have to eat every item that is there. I don't think somebody's feelings will be hurt. They probably might not notice unless nobody ends up eating it. Then two is don't skip a meal before you go. I am guilty of this. Sometimes if I go home, I'm really looking forward to that lasagna that'll be made, whatever it is. I might skip lunch because then I'm going to eat even more. That's not how you approach it. That's not the way to go. It seems like a good idea, but then you will overeat because you are so hungry and you've been looking forward to whatever food that is, all the foods. You will overeat. You'll feel miserable after versus if you ate a snack or ate a small meal before you went to the gathering, the party, or ordered a big feast for yourself. It'll help you. You don't want to have to overcompensate. You'll still have those calories, but you do not need to eat them all at once because that'll leave you feeling way more full than you want to, and then you'll feel like that turkey just sitting down and stuffed. Going through these super quickly. Number 3, eat slower. When you have that good food, it's easy to, even lunch, some days when you have a really good lunch, you're likely to just gobble it down, scarf it down, just keep shoveling it in. Try eating slowly. Take a couple of bites. You can talk, drink your water. If you can, get up and move around some. Just allow yourself time to eat slower. Eat it, savor those tastes, really enjoy it. No shame in it. Take your time, eat it slower. It also helps with digestion. You're going to make sure that that food is chewed thoroughly, less likely of choking. Don't call the paramedics. Chew your food slowly so you're not going to choke. And just think about waiting about 15 minutes or so after that first plate before you try to go back. Let your body have time to digest to see if you're actually still hungry, because the chances are if you shovel that full plate in a short period of time and you're going for a record time of like 2 minutes and you got that whole plate in, your body's still going to feel like you're hungry because it hasn't had time to digest or process of all the amount of food that you've eaten. So taking that time to slow down and let your body enjoy the food that you're eating and to let those hunger hormones balance out Which one, are you still hungry or are you actually full? Let your body tell you before you go back and get those seconds. You don't want to feel so stuffed that you can't move. This will help it. So eat slowly. Next up, we have pay attention to those portions. That's the biggest piece here. Portions. So for the portions, trying to have a good sized plate, that'll be number 5. 2 and 1 here. You want to have good portion control. So you want to have at least about half of your plate with veggies. Load up on those veggies first. Tip and trick. Load up on those veggies first and then get to your proteins. Don't skip out on the proteins. Those will help you get that hunger satisfaction and keep you fueled longer. Then all those empty carbs in those sweet potato casseroles or mashed potato souffles or all those fancy things that have all those butters and sugars. I've made sweet potato souffle, and once I found out that the ungodly amounts of butter and sugar that are in it, I don't eat as much. I don't eat as much of it. It's really good, but when you find out that there's like 3 different kinds of cups of sugar in just one 8x8 pan, stay away. Stay far, far away. You will have a sugar high and crash. So you also, with those portions, half the plate is veggies. Start on those veggies. Move to your protein. And then think about a cup size. So if you cup your hand, think about that's for your carbs. So the cup size of your hand. If you have a bigger hand, use somebody else's hand. Use a smaller hand. Maybe not a kid-size hand, but just joking. But use a cup size. So cup your hand and then see how much of that portion of carbs you should be getting. For fats, they say about a thumb. So from the end of your thumb to the tip of your thumb, that's about how much fats you want to have, around half a tablespoon or so. You want to be mindful of those portions. For protein, you want to have a full palm size from the end of your hand up to your fingertips. And then for veggies, you want to make a fist. As you know, I said have half your plate of veggies. You need to have a smaller plate. I know that it's easy to get those disposable plates and they're in the oval shapes. Those are about a foot long. You do not need to fill that plate up. The average plate size should be about 8 to 9 inches in diameter, and now we are up to 11 and 12 inches. So this is why people overeat. Biggest step is having that plate size. Go for that smaller plate. You don't have to go for the dessert size plate, but just be mindful of how big your plate is. You can end up having the same amount of food on that plate. You don't need to stack them up. Just fill up that plate first, going with those veggies, and then your proteins, and then the rest of the space for those carbs and fats. And so that way, you're getting a well-balanced meal. Even if they are higher in calories, you're still having that portion control. You can still fill up that plate, not feel like you skimped out on any of the yummy snacks, treats, dishes that are there. And then if you're still hungry after waiting, after that first plate, taking your time, then go back and get some more. It's not a bad thing to go get seconds, but be mindful of it. So when you're going to dip out your first serving, think about a 1-spoon rule along with those portions. If you're not going to stick with the hand or anything like that, try doing 1 spoonful of those mashed potatoes, 1 spoonful of the corn casserole, or whatever those dishes may be. Try to have that 1 spoonful first. Eat all of that. Just like if you haven't eaten all the food on your plate, you can't get more, you can't leave the table. You don't have to eat all the food, but eat what you can before you try to go back for more. So taking that time, see how your body's feeling, digest your food, have a game plan, don't skip out on your meals. We will go back over all these points right before we end, but those are my 5. So Really focus on those, and I'm going to pass it off to Brittany.
Awesome. Ah, it is a lot to hold. Bear with me, guys. All right. All right, Heather has made some phenomenal points. Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Washington. Yes, there are two Brittany's. There's one that you see. Well, you see both of us if you tune into the workout broadcasting channel. So I'm Brittany number two, and Heather made some phenomenal points. And when it comes to just portion control, especially entering in for the holidays, whether you are attending parties or festivities or whether you are at home. So I want to expound a little bit when it comes to, she mentioned a couple of things that I want to hit on again, and just putting a little bit a different emphasis on that same perspective for using a smaller plate. Heather has mentioned that now we have larger plates. We've moved to a larger standard, so it's major, super imperative to start using a smaller saucer. And what that does is psychologically and mentally almost tricks your brain into thinking you're eating more. Um, so if you are able to finish that smaller plate, you find out that you might still have a little bit more room. But as Heather stated before, take your time. That also can emotionally and again psychologically just trick you into thinking that you're eating more than you are. We want to try not to overindulge. We have a lot of emotions tied to the holidays. We're with family, we're with friends. We are, expecting to eat and to eat well, which is all fine, and everything is good just in moderation. A lot of times we look forward to eating until we are excessively full, um, almost to the point to where it can be painful sometimes. And that's one of the things that I want to touch bases on with the importance of using a smaller plate. We're not eating to be full. We want to eat until we're satisfied. So that's a huge, huge, huge emphasis I want to place on making sure we're not overindulging. Another thing I want to put an emphasis on is and Heather mentioned eating a spoonful. So that's absolutely amazing, especially if you just can't finish your meal without dessert. Try for sample size desserts. Like, when you're at a party, you have hors d'oeuvres, how small those portions are. Don't try to go for two slices of cake. Don't try to go for right, a slice of each pie that's on the table. Do not do that. Go for a sample size. Go for almost an hors d'oeuvre size. So that way you still get a taste of it, but you won't be overindulging at the same time. Heather also mentioned eat your veggies first. Definitely go for the veggies first. We want to be mindful of just ensuring that, and the importance of eating your veggies first is because, of course, as we know, they are more fibrous, you feel more full. And because of that, and they have a lot less calories than what your typical carbs or your sweets or whatever that is, or even your proteins. So that, in addition to water, staying hydrated throughout, making healthier and not better choices when it comes to staying hydrated, because of course at different festivities you have all different types of drinks that we can overindulge in. So another thing to add on to eating your veggies first is to drink plenty of water, either before you go to the festivities or while you're there. It's okay to use that seltzer water that has a little bit of bubbles in it. Put some fruit in there, some berries, something else that'll give it a little bit of flavor. If you are gonna, drink a little bit or whatever it is your choice of beverage, try to go for more of your 100% juices. Be careful of the different juices that you are utilizing, because a lot of those have additional added sugars and things like that. So that's just a couple of things I wanted to touch base on before you and while you are out with your families and friends or for the holidays or whatever it is you're doing. Um, the next point, I've kind of been jumping all over the place, so that's like the first 3 points all in one. Kind of just talking here, but I've definitely That's super important. Definitely remaining hydrated throughout. The next thing I want to talk about is making over traditional recipes, using healthy substitutes. When you think of the holidays, when you think of Thanksgiving and Christmas, or any other holidays you all choose to celebrate, when we're with family, we love the richness of the foods that are being cooked. As Heather said, that sweet potato casserole, man, it is amazing. But if we all knew what goes into it, it might turn us away a little bit. So that's actually something I wanted to talk about too. Having that game plan and making sure you understand what's coming. If you're able to help it, if you know what's going to be there, you kind of know what might be going into uh, those dishes as far as ingredients are concerned. So it might help to know what's going into your food before it goes into you. So again, making over traditional recipes, using healthier substitutes instead of that heavy cream that for whatever dishes that you use, you might can substitute that for a Greek yogurt, or instead of that sour cream, utilizing that Greek yogurt, or instead of butter, all the butters that we use, maybe substitute them for some olive oil or some coconut oil instead of the vegetable oil, using a little bit more of the healthier options when it comes to when it sorry, I have to remember to keep the mic here when it comes to utilizing and making those dishes. A couple of other options when it comes to like replacing. Sorry if you hear a whole bunch of stuff rumbling. Um, for when it comes to like salads and stuff, we all love a good salad. Hopefully, we all love a good salad. Being mindful of the dressings that you put on that salad instead of dousing it in like blue cheese or ranch, using more of a vinaigrette. You also want to be careful because you can have a lot of added sugars in those vinaigrettes. So another healthy substitute is just oil and vinegar, mixing it up. If you want to, put your own touch of spice on it, that's completely fine. But those are additional substitutes as well. And also, of course, when it comes to holidays, pastas, we love good pasta. So a way to essentially assist in being more health conscious about it is to decrease the portion of pasta and adding more vegetables. So it's still super hearty, it's a lot healthier when it comes to calories, and that's just another option when it comes to substituting, the traditional recipes that we're all so used to be able to be a little bit more health conscious. Um, and the last couple of points I want to talk about is don't hibernate if you moderate. So if you're the moderator and you're hosting the party, it is phenomenal that we're all here to socialize, we're all here to have fun, but also don't just stay in. If you can help it, don't stay in. Be a little bit more, encourage the people that are over, wherever you are or wherever you guys are, to be a little bit more active. If you all want to go on a group walk afterwards, or if you something that's a little bit more physically um, that's a little bit more physical than just sitting around and socializing. Let's do something a bit more active and encourage movement, especially if we have the control and if we're moderating the festivities. That is a super, super, super great point. And lastly, in addition to encouraging physical activity, whatever that might look like, whether it be a walk or whether it just be something within the house, we can also put an emphasis on games, and that's another way to stay active. Games and crafts that takes the attention more so away from the food and puts more of an emphasis on being engaging with one another in a physical activity type of way. So those are just a few points on different ways to, well, for one, portion your plate and portion your whatever it is you're eating, but also to take an emphasis away from the food aspect of being social during the holidays. So that's just a couple of tidbits on how to better portion yourself and portion your food. So that's all I have when it comes to different ways are your eyes bigger than your stomach on this workshop? So hopefully you all receive some good information to take with you. That's all I have. Heather, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just going to go back over real quick. Uh, the top, the top 10. No, it's all right. I'll hold it.
Okay.
I'll hold it far away. Just going back over those tips that we did get. So you have those 10 right and ready. So number 1 is having a game plan. 2, don't skip a meal before you go to your feast, the holiday gathering, the party, whatever it is. 3, take your time and eat a little bit slower. It's all right. Totally fine. Feel that hunger. Number 4, pay attention to your portions, portion control. Number 1, it's not number 1, but number 4 on this list. But number 1 for you, that's what we're talking about. They all tie in together. It's going back into that portion control. And number 5 for me is using that smaller plate and just being mindful of having a smaller plate, filling that up first, trying to see if once you finish that plate, if that was satisfying. If not, give it that time, and then you can go back for more. And then for 6, where Brittany has it, 6, loading up on those veggies first. I know I went into those too. Just got very excited for that. All those portions. And just loading up on those veggies. 7, choose your drinks wisely. Whether if you're drinking something with alcohol in it, go for some lighter options. If you're bringing a beer, bring 2 or 3. Don't bring a whole 30-pack. That'll just defeat it. That just defeats the point. Don't do it. Don't set yourself up like that. Have that game plan. And then making over those traditional recipes, substituting those ingredients, maybe not adding as much salt, as we all know that there's a lot of salt in everything too, and sugars. And don't hibernate when you're moderating. Have that movement. Encourage other people to keep moving. And then have those games. Have those things that you can do that are interactive. Keep people moving. Play the different games. You don't have to come into contact. You can still space out and do different things. So there's always the options. And those are our top 10 things that are going to get you through with portion control, how to control your hunger and everything, and keep your eyes matching with your stomach. So that's all we have for y'all. Hopefully y'all learned some great tips, and you won't have to tell us that you gained your weight from all that turkey and you have more to lose. So the goal is to not gain those 5 or 10 pounds next week or during Christmas, because that's just more you're going to have to lose. And we'll be there to tell you. So be mindful of all of those things, and we look forward to helping you. So see you later.
Bye.
Bye.